How's it going, vaqueros? Welcome back to another video covering the Lockwood 300 dual trigger. It was in fact nerfed yet again by Raven Software just a day ago, I believe, and I spent most of the day testing, trying to work without plunder, which was just an absolute pain in my butt. So I finally got some good numbers for you guys to check out, and I'm going to go over what changed, how it fares now, and give my overall thoughts on it, and if it needs another nerf or not. So if that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So if you take a look at what changed, it looks like they basically adjusted all the ammo types when you're using them with the dual trigger. Now, I did test Dragon's Breath without the dual trigger. That seems to be pretty much unchanged, so the base gun itself hasn't really been touched. It's just these ammo types with this particular trigger. So the first one we'll talk about is just the base 12 gauge shell, which is just sort of the standard way to run this thing. So the big question I'm sure everyone is dying to know is, does this gun still one-shot? And yes, I can confirm it still does one-shot. Whether it's Dragon's Breath, the base ammo, or slugs, it will in fact one-shot kill. There is some potential for all three ammo types. So now I'm going to go over each of the ranges for all of them. For the base gun, one-shot kill range if you are fully aiming down sights. It used to be, after the first nerf, around that 5-meter mark. Now it's sitting at around 3.5 meters. Now I do want to point out, this might be a few tenths of a meter off. I basically went into Battle Royale solos with a dummy account, had to find the same game. If I killed myself, I'd have to go into the gulag, so it was a pain in the butt to have to do this over and over. So instead of going tenths of a meter, I basically went from 5 meters to 4.5 to 4 to 3.5, and I basically went 5/10 of a meter each time. So there could be a few tenths of a meter of discrepancy. Just keep that in mind, but basically it's not really worth noting. So the base one-shot kill aiming down sights, about 3.5 meters. That's a pretty noticeable decrease, and if you're hip firing, it's only out to about the 2-meter mark. Now, if you stack it with all of your ranged attachments like the 812 barrel and the DB107 suppressor, you can take your aiming down sights max one-shot kill range out to about the 4.5 meter mark, which used to be about 6.5 meters, maybe close to 7 meters after the first initial nerf. So again, that's a pretty noticeable decrease, and you're definitely going to feel it. Then, when you stack on the big range attachments like the barrel and the suppressor with Dragon's Breath, before this nerf and with the first nerf, you could still basically one-shot out to about that 9 to 9.5 meter mark, which was kind of ridiculous. That's really, really far. So that has basically been cut almost in half, down to about 5 meters. Of course, give or take a few tenths of a meter, like I said. So as you can see from all these numbers, this was drastically cut down, and it's much closer to how I kind of anticipated it being when it was initially launched, but instead we got like 7 meters with the base gun and then 10 with attachments. Was kind of ridiculous, just absolutely broken. So this is much, much more in line. Now, after using it for quite a bit, I can tell it's definitely not one-shotting as much, but there are still instances where you will just pop up out of cover and bam, they are just dead instantly. No gunfight, they're just gone. And that's always satisfying to me. But yes, you will notice a lot of your one-shot kills won't be as consistent. It's going to be mostly a 2-shot kill. Basically, if you're barrel stuffing someone maybe out a few meters past that, you are going to get a one-shot kill still. You don't have to be super accurate. You still can get a one-shot kill, but it's not going to be as terrible to deal with against people, because I've noticed a lot less people using it in my games, and I've noticed they often get hit markers, so maybe they're not very accurate with their shot, where you didn't really have to be before, but now you do. So it's not nearly as oppressive, but yes, it's still one-shotting. It's still probably going to get on a lot of people's nerves. I hate to say it, but that's just how it is with one-shots, and especially with shotguns in particular. People do not like them, so it's going to one-shot people. There's still going to be people upset and think it needs more of a nerf, but now let's get on to slugs. Slugs, you can still one-shot headshot, which is really cool to see. I'm really glad they did that. I don't think they need to nerf it. I think they just need to buff up marksman rifles and sniper rifles, especially with the movement coming in Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 3 Warzone 3, whatever you want to call it. We're going to have a lot more movement, and I think it's totally acceptable for marksman rifles and sniper rifles to one-shot kill. Just make it to where this gun still one-shot kills to the head. I think that's totally feasible. Now keep in mind, before this update with this nerf, you could one-shot with the slug to the stomach, which was kind of ridiculous, but that was only out to like 3 meters. It really wasn't far, really wasn't super practical, but in a pinch, it was kind of cool. But now it's basically only a one-shot headshot if you're hitting a headshot. You can't get one-shot kills with the body, so just keep that in mind. I do want to cover the Doom bundle separately, so I will probably make a separate video for that, just because the attachments are a little weird when you look at it and you can't actually switch attachments, so I'll probably have a different video for that at another time. But now I want to talk about my overall thoughts on this nerf. First of all, the big question is, was it enough? And for that, I really don't know if I can say at this point. I haven't really played against it much yet. I've played it against it a few times and it really wasn't that bad to deal with, but it does still one-shot decently far, but it's much more manageable to play against. And if you're using it, you feel like you kind of have to hit your shot well, but if you're up close, it's still kind of like a gimme. It's just kind of an easy kill. But I mean, that's just kind of the nature of this type of gun, where you just get one shot, bam, both barrels, one shot kill, done, that's it. So at this point, I feel like I'm pretty fine with where it is now. Again, I think we still need to kind of sit on it, play with it a little bit more and get more of a feel for it, let people, kill you with it. But honestly, it feels a lot more balanced than it did. And to be honest, one of the things I like about this nerf is how reliant it was on two-shot kills. And to me, that felt much more rewarding than having to play this gun like it was just a one-shot. I went into engagements thinking this is going to be a two-shot kill. I didn't expect a one-shot. I was always surprised when I got it. But I basically went in thinking, okay, this is going to be a two-shot kill. I was treating it like a Bryson 800 with a slower fire rate, but much more consistent and much higher damage potential. And when I treated it like that, and I had to move in and out of cover, reload my shot and get my second shot on, that was incredibly fun. And that to me was way more satisfying than getting those one-shot kills. Of course, nothing beats running up to someone, barrel stuffing and getting a one-shot, but really this type of gameplay that I like is this sort of finessing with the movement that you have to do. And that's what I like about this thing being more of a two-shot now than a one-shot. I know that probably sounds weird and a lot of people might disagree and think it should just one-shot completely, but I feel like the two-shot totally manageable. Even though it's a slow reload, it's not that bad, and a good player can really make it work with the damage output it has. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something different. I hope you learned something new about all these things that I went over, but more importantly, I want to know down below in the comments, as always, what are your thoughts on this nerf? Was it enough? Are you still using this thing and maining it and it's just too easy to use? Do you think it could use another nerf, or do you think it went too overboard and now it's useless? Which I don't know what you're smoking if you think that, but some people might. But with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.